Breaking news coming out of Atlanta, Georgia. A judge ruled that Fani Willis will not be disqualified from prosecuting the racketeering case against Donald Trump and several of his co-defendants, but because of the appearance of impropriety, she or the special prosecutor has had a relationship which must step down from the case. So on the phone, we got the president of the Georgia NAACP, Attorney Gerald Griggs. Hey, Gerald, good morning.
Hey, Rickey, how you doing?
Hey, man, we good, man. Happy to have you this morning. Breaking news probably about 5 minutes ago. Let everybody know what's going on and your thoughts.
Okay, my thoughts are that Judge McAfee made a correct ruling under the law in Georgia. The Williams case was very clear that there had to be an actual conflict to remove the district attorney. So Judge Scott McAfee said that it was not legally sufficient evidence presented to remove the district attorney in the Trump interference case, but he also added the caveat that the appearance of impropriety would cause either the Fulton County District Attorney's Office to have to recuse themselves or Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade to recuse himself. So I believe it's a correct interpretation of the law with regard to the Williams case in Georgia, and I think that we will continue to see vigorous prosecution of Donald Trump by the Fulton County District Attorney's Office.
Hey, Gerald, I have to ask you, do it seem, being the president of the NAACP, did it feel like they was trying to undermine the process and just come up with something just because that the district attorney's office was prosecuting Donald Trump? How much of this was political?
I think it was all political. None of the allegations met the legal standard, and I do believe that the motion should never have been brought. So I think it was an attempt to smear the district attorney's office. I think it was an attempt to subvert the will of the grand jurors to proceed with this case. I think it was a motion that was more about salacious information and a media smear than it was about the law in Georgia. So as the president of the Georgia State Conference, we were concerned that we won't get to the bottom of what actually happened in the election, which is what this case is about. But now that the judge has ruled, I think the DA's office will make a decision and probably move forward without the special prosecutor and continue to prosecute this case and get to the bottom of what actually happened in Fulton County.
So also, Georgia's primary is about to start in May 21st, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. We just had our presidential primary on Tuesday, and then the regular primary will be in May.
Right. So how can are you concerned about anything as far as this case? How concerned are you?
I'm not concerned at all. I knew this motion was not going to be successful from the very beginning. You know, having practiced law in Georgia for 20 years, I've seen defense motions come and go. This one was a novel one, but the law was clear. So my concern is whether or not there was an attempt to subvert the will of voters in Georgia, particularly African-American voters who turned out in large numbers. So now we'll get to the bottom of what happened in this case. The defendants will get their due process. The citizens of Fulton County will make a decision. And if the evidence is proven, somebody's going to be spending a substantial amount of time in a Georgia Corrections Institute.
Gerald, real quick, don't you also think that these motions and the motions of all his attorneys in every court case that he's in, it's all just stall tactics to try and buy more time to push every date closer to the election, right?
Yeah, it's an attempt to delay, but what people need to understand is this is a state-level case, so even if Mr. Trump is elected president, he cannot pardon himself from this particular case because it's a state-level case. But it is an attempt to delay. I think there might be an appeal of this ruling by the defense. I still don't see how it would be successful because the law is quite clear on this. But, you know, it's an attempt to delay, and the people want to get to a resolution of this, you know, before the election to make, an intelligent decision on whether or not this individual should, in fact, be running for office, considering the 91 charges around 4 cases that he's facing.
Yeah.
Attorney
Griggs.
Go ahead.
Just as a woman, I just admire Fani so much. You know, we saw her look, visibly annoyed by all of the questioning. How do you think this case and the outcome is going to impact the level of aggression she has with the case against Trump?
I've known Fani for a long time. I've never seen her this focused. I think the defendant should be very concerned. She's going to do whatever she needs to do within the bounds of the law, but she's now focused on this case and the outcome of this case. So I think they stoked and poked the bear.
Right. The man that's being taken off the case, one of the prosecutors, was he not one of the brains behind this entire prosecution? Would that be a big loss?
He was. It will be a big loss. You know, Special Prosecutor Wade is an exceptional lawyer here in Georgia. He's been practicing over 30 years. Former defense attorney and a sitting judge at one point. So he's going to be missed. But I think that the people of the state of Georgia want to get to a resolution, and I think the judge made the right decision with regard to the legal interpretation and to avoid the appearance of impropriety. Gave them an opportunity to make a decision with regard to who will continue. So he'll be missed, but I think that the prosecution will continue and we'll get to a resolution of what happened in 2020 in Georgia.
And I got a two-part question. Do you think that was a great idea? One of the best things happened in this situation for Fani Willis herself to take the stand, and what happens to Donald Trump in with this case? And do you think he's going to do some jail time behind these offenses if he gets proven guilty, like actually?
Well, I think that she was very strong in her defense against these allegations when she took the stand. I know her father was also very strong in his testimony. I think that, if they're able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that what's alleged actually happened, yes, Donald Trump will spend a substantial amount of time in prison in Georgia. What people need to understand is, the rules apply to everybody in Georgia. I can't speak for the rest of the states or in the federal court, but in Georgia, if you are unsuccessful at a trial, there's a strong likelihood that you will be spending time in Jackson, Georgia. And given the allegations and the amount of time it took to investigate this and the special purpose grand jury and then the actual grand jury indicting the number of charges they have, there should be grave concerns by the defendants as to their exposure for criminal liability.
Especially if Donald Trump go to that prison right there. All them times we used to go to that damn prison to see a family member, you have to pass by the Atlanta Zoo. We never stop by the zoo. And that is, I've talked to my therapist about that, Attorney Griggs. Never, ever, not one time stop by that zoo, because you have to go past the Atlanta Zoo to get to the federal prison. Never.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you have to understand he will be going to a state prison, and they are far worse than the Atlanta penitentiary that you're talking about. So the main prison is in Jackson, which is right in Butts County, right below Henry County. So it's even worse.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, man, get off my mind. I said, what game?
There ain't no joke down there.
You went? Is that the one you went to?
Ooh, no. Oh, no. I never did not. No.
Which one you went to?
Nothing like that. No, that's not important right now. It's a different time in my life. And Attorney Griggs has we moved past all of that.
Attorney Griggs, man.
Past that, we've moved on. Yes.
Real quick before you leave, how can people reach you, and how can anybody join support the NAACP?
Okay, you reach me on all social platforms at Attorney Griggs, ATTORNEYGRIGGS, or at the Georgia State Conference on all platforms, Georgia_NAACP. And they can join by going to the website, www.georgianaacp.org, or going to the national website, which is naacp.org/join.
All right, y'all. Attorney Gerald Griggs, more of the Smiley Morning Show coming up.